and Rave On. CA1 takes a look at the underground party with the bad reputation that's trying to go mainstream.
Unsupervised dance parties. Overseas, there have been tragic results. Here in Manitoba, raves are the rage as well. The cops are concerned. So are fire investigators. Tonight, we take you behind the scenes of the latest rave in the city. That's coming up on CA1.
On this, a rave, Ross Rutherford will show you what they are and why they're somewhat controversial. That's just one of the things coming up tonight. Also this evening, Chris Armstrong will join us with tonight's Buyer Beware, and we'll look at the latest list of recalls. It's a whopper. You want to see that one. Sandy will have the 5-day forecast, and Mike will have the rest of tonight's sports when the CBC local news continues. The latest rage, and thousands of Winnipeg teens make it a point to be there. The craze is a party called a rave. You might be surprised to learn they're so big now, the Winnipeg Police Service has set up a rave patrol. Tonight on CA1, we'll show you what raves are all about.
Diana, basically a rave is one big dance party without any supervision. And overseas in Sweden, a rave led to tragic results when a fire broke out and 60 teenagers died. There were 400 people in a room that was supposed to hold about half that many. The kids who died ranged in age from 13 to 18. Now here in Winnipeg, raves are very popular, so much so steps are now being taken to regulate them, not only by the police, but by the promoters themselves. Here's Colleen Rajat.
First and foremost, we all come for the music, and then you meet new friends, and it becomes a big community.
There's an open acceptance policy in the rave scene. We take any kid from anywhere. There's an acceptance and I believe that's the attraction to a lot of kids, is that they've realized that there's no one's looking down at them. You can come wearing what you want, doing what you want, dance the way you want, sit in the corner if you want. It all is accepted here. It's kind of an open door policy towards forms of music as well.
In the early 1990s, Winnipeg raves were held underground, away from the scrutiny of police and fire officials. Just this past Halloween, a rave was shut down here before it even began. Fire officials say a lack of fire exits and 2 live cigarette butts found on a wooden stairway violated city bylaws. Lisa Burney was the organizer of that rave.
We were approached by probably about 30 police officers and about 5 fire officials and 1 health person. To my best of my knowledge, the actual reason we were shut down was because we had no running water on our floor of the building.
To avoid being shut down, the organizer of this rave, Marcus Sturzer, made sure he complied with all bylaws. He even informed police and fire officials about the location of the event. This is the first time a rave organizer has played by all the rules. It appears raves are going mainstream.
Based on the success of this event, future promoters will decide whether they are going to go above ground or below ground. And what that means is, years and years ago, when these things were thrown, they were thrown with not just turntables, a mixer, and an amp. They're thrown with a pair of bolt cutters to break into an abandoned warehouse. It's not like that anymore, and I'm one of the people who wants to lose that stigma that we have.
Prior to the rave, the city told organizers an architect would have to draw up a blueprint of this roller rink to see if it met building standards.
There was a lot of hoops for the organizer that were basically down in front of him. He had a lot of obstacles to overcome.
The owner of the Saints roller rink is Wayne Meyer.
The architect did come in and he gave us a clean bill of health actually for up to 1,500. I would never want to do that many, but it just confirms and reaffirms to the city that this is a legitimate place to hold this type of function.
Like Greta's here from Toronto, let's hear you scream!
2 years ago, police and fire officials organized a rave task force. The intent is to monitor raves for safety violations.
Our concerns are overcrowding. They're dangerous if they're not held in a licensed and regulated premise. You know, you may very well have fire escape problems or other situations that may cause a very physical danger to numbers of people there. But specifically, excuse me, to the Vice Division, it's not unknown that illicit drugs are present and available. Not to say that everyone attending would be interested in that type of activity, but that's certainly a pattern that occurs at these type of parties where there is illicit drugs, and that's a concern to the Vice Division. That's the nature of our business.
There's just as much drugs at, say, a Van Halen concert as there is at a rave. It's an inevitable part of society that people are going to do drugs.
I've read on the internet and stuff a lot of really bad stuff. People say things that the kids that come to these parties are lost kids that are looking for somewhere to fit in, and it's not true. The rave scene, like the people who make this happen for us, are really good, down-to-heart, soul people.
You know, there's always going to be some people that get out of hand, and you know, there are some people that come here and they have nothing, and this is their whole life.
I 100% believe that we are approached with a biased attitude, and I think it's unfair.
Lisa Burney says the Rave Task Force is out to give kids a hard time.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I can't even believe that they would, you know, it's the Rave Task Force. When they they have a gang unit and they have a rave unit. It's beyond belief.
Police say it's their job to keep an eye on things.
If people feel they're jumping through too many hoops, I really think they have to consider why those hoops are there, and it's really so that the places can be examined and inspected, and people are safe if they're going to be attending.
There's no alcohol served here. A few ravers were smoking drugs at this event, and 2 older teens were kicked out because they were suspected of selling drugs. As for ecstasy, the drug similar to speed that's been associated with the rave scene, there was no evidence of it. But some kids did tell us off camera that it sells for $35 a pill, and there were kids here who had taken it. Police dropped by this rave several times, and the district fire chief did an inspection.
And everything checked out?
That's fine, yeah.
So what's going to happen now?
That's it, they can carry on, yeah.
The party continued until 6 in the morning. It became clear over the course of the night there are certain fads here: soothers, suckers, and a lot of kids bring toys.
For instance, with the toy that you just saw there, it's something you can buy at Walmart for like $2.99, and all it does is twirls your suckers. See, somebody started a fad by bringing suckers to the raves. Now everybody sucks them.
It's definitely a subculture. It's getting mainstream, but it's not as underground as it used to be. But it's all about love.
The entire scene was reminiscent of a 60s love-in. Kids massaging each other's backs, blankets spread out on the floor, and talk of the rave scene being about love was everywhere.
All they want to do is love. Like, I don't know, 90s hippies.
As dawn approaches, some kids are showing signs of fatigue, while others are still going strong. This party lost $3,500. Only 400 people attended at $10 a ticket. 800 were expected. Other rave promoters say they're going to try and set up a meeting with the task force so there can be more above-ground parties in the future. But some kids say that won't be as much fun, since hiding from the authorities used to be a thrill in itself. For 24 Hours, I'm Colleen Rajat.
Ross, you can understand why the chance to go to a party without a chaperone is so appealing.
And you can see, because you're talking about kids that their ages are anywhere from, what, 13 up to 18,
right,
perhaps 12 to 19, so I could understand that, but I'm quite happy to see the Winnipeg police out there, because that's what they should be doing. And I think it's great that the promoters are taking the responsibility of saying, look, this is a big dance party, but let's make sure it's supervised. The last thing we'd ever want to see in this city is something that happened similar to what happened in Sweden. Absolutely.
Well, let's see what our viewers think. Do you think raves should exist or should they be banned? We're at Talkback 788-3771 or 1-800-563-NEWS, or email us 24hours@winnipeg.ca. rave.cbc.ca. Ross, what's on CA1 tomorrow?
Diane, it's been almost a year now since that terrible plane crash at Little Grand Rapids. We'll